Most people think positively about themselves and believe that they are good people. Some even enjoy behaving like bullies. Some people have high self-esteem, while others just deceive themselves. Like many people, I've always had good self-esteem. As an adult, I strengthened it even more by investing time and money in noble causes. I was born into a wealthy family, the only child with a facial surname that attracted attention. After the tragic death of my parents in a plane crash when I was 32, I changed my last name to a simple and typically American one, Kevin Wilson. I inherited 90% of their fortune. But let's talk about everything in order. At the age of 35, I unsuccessfully tried to build a personal life twice. I've always been a big man. At 165 centimeters tall, I weighed 110 kilograms, just like in my first year of college, and I was attracted to tall blondes. Because of my wealth, the women I dated were also wealthy, although not on the same level as my parents. My marriages didn't work out, and I explained this by saying that I loved my wives more than they loved me. Perhaps they were more interested in money than feelings. They will probably say that I was more focused on the physical side of the relationship than the emotional side. Anyway, it's already gone. After the second divorce, I often went on dates and even used the services of professionals. But all this was devoid of real sincerity and mutual interest. I founded a charity called Help for Shoes, HBS, which helped unemployed people develop professional skills. We focused on young people. The organization quickly became successful, thanks to significant investments and highly qualified employees. Interestingly, only one person in the organization knew that I and my funding were behind everything. For the rest, I was just someone who was engaged in purchases, although I often went to the field and helped in workshops. One of the best employees at HBS was Jeff Jamison, a man with a pronounced personality and excellent skills in working with our clients. His wife, Ashley, was the exact opposite of Jeff. Ash is a short brunette with a brusque manner that I've never really liked. She seemed rude, self-confident, and always ready to express her opinion. Despite this, she was somehow devoted to Jeff, and their marriage seemed strong. At one of the corporate events, Ash was more noisy than usual and made an unpleasant comment in response to a dance song. I couldn't stand it and said, "Ash, don't you ever get tired of being rude?" With these words, I decided to turn the situation into a joke, raised it, took a couple of dance steps, and lowered it. To my surprise, instead of anger, she laughed. This changed our communication a bit, making it more relaxed in subsequent meetings. Over time, our relationship improved. At one of the events, Ash got drunk and came up to me and asked for advice about a gift for Jeff. The conversation took an unexpected turn, but I took it as a joke and answered just as easily. In the end, this episode remained just a funny story, and my thoughts focused on how I can further develop my life and my relationships, while remaining true to my beliefs and values. "Okay, I'll call you," she said. Then she stood up, and when her face took on a strange expression, she fainted. I managed to catch her so she wouldn't fall. I carried her to the couch in the alcove and went to look for Jeff. Jeff was embarrassed, but he also drank a lot. He tried to pick it up, but dropped it. I picked her up again. "Listen, Jeff," I said, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. "Do you mind if I take you and Ash home? I can give you a ride tomorrow to pick up the car." I didn't drink. It took him a few seconds to agree. "Of course, thank you." When I took him home, I had to help Jeff carry Ash to bed again. Jeff thanked me profusely. We exchanged contacts so that I could take him to pick up his car the next day. When I got home, I couldn't get Ash out of my head. To distract myself, I decided to call one of my friends, with whom I sometimes spent time after the divorce. Despite the late hour, she came, and it helped me to distract myself and calm down. The next morning, after my guest left, the phone rang. It was Ash. "Hi, Kevin. Thank you for taking us home," she said with a sincere tone. "I was glad to help," I replied. "How are you feeling?" "Surprisingly good, considering all the booze. Jeff asked me to see if you could take me to get a car." "Of course," I said. "When will it be convenient for you? In 15 minutes? "Agreed," I replied. When I arrived, Ash was already waiting for me at the house. We chatted all the way to her car. At the end of the journey, when we got to the place, she asked us to turn off the engine for a while. "We need to discuss something," she began. I tensed, afraid that she would remember our conversation at the party. "Don't pretend," she continued with a slight smile. You promised to help me make Jeff a great Christmas present." "What are you talking about?" I asked, trying to look innocent. "You know," she replied calmly. "We discussed this yesterday. You said you could help me with the money." I tried to turn the conversation to something else, but Ash continued confidently. She explained that her request was just a way to please Jeff and that it would remain between us. "It's just a deal," she said. "You're helping me. I'm helping you. It's simple. We will not complicate this with any personal questions." Although the situation was extremely awkward, I did my best to keep my composure and avoid further discussions. "Pick me up on Tuesday at lunch. Here's my boss's business card. Call the direct number when you get to the building, and I'll come right out. Thanks for the ride." She smiled and got out of the car, heading for her car. I was like a zombie for the rest of the day. It was hard to get rid of the thoughts, knowing that Ash was Jeff's wife, but not enough to give it all up. I was trying to figure out why I was so attracted to her. Her appearance was attractive, although not exactly my type, and her behavior made her mysterious. Nevertheless, I had conflicting feelings. I picked her up at lunch on Tuesday as planned. We went to the clinic to get tested. All the rapid tests were negative, and for the rest of the results, it was necessary to wait a week. It took a whole hour, not counting the road. "Okay, now we only have an hour, and I want to get the first half of the payment now, $7.50, she said, getting ready to get out of the car. "How do I know you won't just take the money and change your mind?" I asked. "I won't change my mind," she replied in a serious tone. "I'll tell you what. I'll give you $400 now and the rest when it's done," I said, taking out my wallet. "That's settled," she said, taking the money. We agreed to meet in a week after the final test results are ready. I decided to rent a hotel room near her office. "Why not at your place?" She was surprised. "I have my reasons. You'll like the hotel," I replied. The thing is, I didn't want anyone to know how rich I was. Outwardly, my life was modest. I drove a Toyota Prius, although I had more expensive cars in my garage. My house was worth several $1,000,000. But I tried to hide my fortune. "Okay," she replied with a shrug. I felt tense for the next few days. Every time I saw Jeff at work, I had remorse. An important day has come. We met at the Hyatt Hotel, which was a short walk from our office. "We need to do everything in an hour," she reminded us as we entered the elevator. The hotel room has been improved compared to the standard rooms. However, I told her that it was a regular room. Ash looked relaxed, but I kept wondering if this was the right decision. Her behavior was filled with mystery and unique energy, which attracted me more and more. At every moment with her, I felt tension and excitement, trying to understand my feelings. She seemed very sensitive and emotional, and our communication became deeper and more sincere every day. Ash was a person who combined strength and vulnerability, and it amazed me. After we spent some time together, we developed a strong bond based on mutual understanding and trust. We tried to treat each other with respect, support, and inspire each other. When I finally pulled away, we were both exhausted. I turned Ash around so that her head was on my shoulder, and we both fainted rather than fell asleep. When we started moving, I looked at my watch. Grinning, I noticed that the time was 2:58. She was supposed to be back at work by 1:30 at the latest. I woke Ash up. "Oh, that was great," she smiled. "That's an understatement," I replied. "But the problem is that it's already 3 o'clock. "That's bad luck," she muttered, still not opening her eyes. "My boss will fire me, and I really need this job." Despite her misgivings, she was in no hurry to get up and get dressed. Suddenly, I had an idea. "Tell me something about your boss. Is there anything I can do to help?" Ash went on to talk about Samantha Keene, an insurance company lawyer, noting her strict nature. Finally, I asked, "Is there anything she loves?" Ash looked up for the first time and said, "She loves dogs. She has 2 Labradors." "Great," I said, thinking. "Let's try to solve this problem." I picked up my phone and dialed Samantha's number from the business card, as she had given me a few days ago. "Samantha Keene," she replied. "Miss Keene, I'm calling at the request of Ashley Jameson. She helped the dog, which ran out into the roadway and unfortunately was injured in the process. I took her to the hospital and everything is fine, but she can't go to work yet." "Oh no, is she all right?" Samantha asked anxiously. "Yes, everything is fine. She just needs to rest. I hope you don't mind if she skips the rest of the day?" Samantha was sympathetic to the situation and suggested Ash take the day off if necessary. When Ash finished talking to her boss, she smiled. "You just saved me." We discussed what happened and Ash laughed. "She even offered me a day off tomorrow." Now I'm definitely making an impression on her. After that, I helped Ash pack up and we went home. Before saying goodbye, I offered her a small neck brace for persuasion. Ash smiled and thanked me for everything I had done for her. The next day, I decided to take another step. I sent roses to Ash and Samantha with thank you letters on behalf of the fictional owner of the dog. Ash called me during lunch and told me that she had become a real heroine in the office. "You really are something," she said, laughing. "Thanks for everything. We agreed to meet again next weekend when she has the opportunity." "Sounds good to me," I chuckled. "I'll pick you up Sunday, at the same place I left you yesterday at noon. But I won't pay you this time. I don't need money." "For that," she laughed. "I feel guilty for taking them last time." Interesting, I thought. She feels guilty about the money, but not about the other side. A strange woman. We met on Sunday. We set the alarm for 2:30 and barely made it to Ash's house before Jeff returned from bowling. We spent that day waiting for what was going to happen. My first contact with Ash took place about 3 years ago. A lot has changed since then. Jeff really liked his audio system. He told Ash that it was the best gift of his life. But if he knew how it was acquired, it would be the worst gift in his life. Ash and I became like heroin to each other. We depended on each other. Our meetings have become regular 3 times a week. Ash met my expectations in many ways, although some aspects of our communication were too difficult for her. Of course, Jeff guessed about our affair after we had been living together for about 3 months. He filed for divorce and left HBS. I felt incredibly guilty and persuaded Ash to give him everything that was in their joint property, except clothes and souvenirs. To convince her of this, I had to tell her about my real financial situation and promise her a large sum to her personal account after the final divorce. I also made sure that Jeff got the job he wanted with additional bonuses. However, the consequences of this affair and its effect on Jeff have destroyed my self-esteem. Despite my charitable work, I couldn't get rid of the guilt inwardly. Ash and Jeff's divorce went through, with numerous disputes, despite her agreement on financial aspects. Through her, Jeff found out about my situation and revealed it to his friends. My relationship with my colleagues deteriorated, and I stopped working at HBS, although I continued to finance it. I founded another charity called Best Start, which helped children from low-income families. Shortly after Jeff found about the affair, Ash moved in with me. It was the best time of my life, despite feeling guilty about Jeff. I felt completely satisfied and happy. Ash and I negotiated an honest and open relationship, avoiding conflict and working towards mutual respect. Ash stopped working for money and became a volunteer at the Best Start. She also started doing charity work. We enjoyed spending time together, traveling, attending film and play premieres, and doing outdoor activities. Incredibly, our mutual attraction has not faded even after years. Every time we went to new places, we were always glad to see each other. About 3 weeks ago, after one of our long conversations, we decided to discuss our fantasies. They were simple. "I'd like to make your fantasy come true." "Kevin," Ash said one evening, "what do you mean?" I asked. "Well, the only way to bring it to life is if I become a mother. So starting tomorrow, I'm stopping taking the pills," she said calmly. "Do I have anything to say about this?" I asked. "Of course," she replied. "You can make your own decision. I'm not insisting. This conversation made me think. I've always wanted an heir, and maybe it was a sign that it was time to make this decision. I think I'll be ready to take the next step in my life soon."